All right, guys, what's going on? We're back. Let's zoom out a bit. As you can tell, I'm a professional content creator who obviously sets everything up before he goes and records. We're back. I took a short break, had a vacation with the family, real life stuff, obviously. Back to sorting. This is part 2 of the previous video I just uploaded about a week ago. I actually had to pause entirely from what I did last time, and so I'm just gonna pick it up from here. I was going through some of the bulk from that opening I had, Japanese stuff, and guess what I found? A second one of these Trade Please Galaxy Hollows. So it's a pretty nice find. I'm not sure at the top of my head how much this goes for raw. I'm gonna guess like 30 to 40 bucks. Nice find, good addition. You know, we'll take it. So quick couple things before I go through stuff. First and foremost, the person who won this, I'm going to be pinning in the comment section below. Thank you guys again for the support, the engagement. I really appreciate it. Again, when I decided to fire this channel up, it really was just to like record what I was doing and just share thoughts. Never did I think I'd get as much, engagement and love as I have been already. So super appreciate it. I'll pin whoever won this in the comment section below. It's a great card. I actually just sold another Pokekun card, a DNC, today for 40 bucks, I think. So I wanted to show you guys a couple things. This PSA 9, I don't have any, or really maybe a couple Diamond and Pearl English level X cards. I got this for cheap. Someone proposed a trade for one of my Mewtwo classic collections in Japanese. I actually made up pretty well on that deal. I got like an extra $40 in value, so glad to have this in the collection. I gotta say though, compared to Japanese, let me grab the Japanese one. Compared to Japanese, I'll let you decide for yourself. But I'm glad to have this. Slowly building up the collection of these little X's. I love them. So glad to have this guy. All right, how to put that back. Okay, last thing I want to show you. This card I got back from Beckett, and they said they could not verify it, which is interesting because I've had this card graded 3 times already. Twice by PSA and once by CGC. So the story goes, I bought this card raw. It is I'll just show you instead of telling you. It is a Gold Star Charizard that I bought back in the day. I think 2 years ago now. I won it in an auction. And I graded it with PSA the first time around. I got a 2. I'm just going to show you guys what this looks like. This card, by the way, definitely looks like... I don't know why it would get less than an 8, to be honest with you. And 8 is being underselling it. I actually don't see, outside of centering, what's wrong with this card. Maybe the bottom edges, bottom corners. Yeah, I think so. But this card and I have a long history. BGS just said they can't authenticate it, which is interesting. I have had this card graded 3 times. The first time was with PSA. It got a 2. That was weird. I showed some friends. I sent slab photos to everyone. No one could figure out what's wrong with it. I sent it to CGC, and it got a 6. It got a 6 because I think they said the corners and edges were not great, but all the other scores I think were like 8 or something like that. So that's interesting. That said, I knew that this got a 6 CGC. I figured I'd try my luck again with PSA. And so what I did was I had a friend actually send it in for me, just so, whether you believe it or not, I think the grading companies track this kind of thing when you crack and resubmit. Maybe there's gatekeeping of grades, maybe not. I like being superstitious, but all in all, I would prefer just not to have to think about that. And so I had someone else send it in for me. And he sent it in. I got it back, and I got a 2. So I decided to crack it and try VGS, and that's where we're at today. So this is actually going to go back to CGC. Let's see what they give it, and hopefully they don't say it can't be authenticated, because the 3 other companies have graded this. So there you go. This card's been with me for a while now, and I think I've probably spent $250 in grading fees so far. So that's you know, that's not a low amount. That's let's put it back in here. That is a good amount of money, and I'm pretty sure I paid high 3 figures for this. So you can see here, questionable authenticity. Oh, that's cool. So there you go. Okay, now what are we talking about? What are we getting into? That collection I bought, I wanted to go through the Pikachus because my guy Corey in the other video called out that these Surfing Pikachus were not just any Surfing Pikachus. They are the Mount Fuji on the left Pikachus. I think these are promos. On eBay, I think one of these is, has like indents. So I'm just going to consider it damaged, even though like it actually is probably light plate plus near mint. This one is a little dent in there. Anyway, these sell for like 30 to 50 bucks each in these conditions. So Corey, if you're out there, thank you, because I would not have caught this. I don't follow the old promos that much, and so I thought this is just bulk, honestly. This comes from the quick starter set, the red quick starter set, and I believe sells for like 20 bucks in this condition, which is pretty good. We have the base set and the 2 jungles, which, $5-10 bucks probably. And this is interesting. This is the same card, except one is a glossy version. No, you're not the glossy version. And one is a non-glossy version. This card literally is called Pikachu Japanese 025 Promo Non-Glossy. That's it. Original. This one is called Pikachu 025 Glossy Koro Promo. And so this is a promo that was given out with the Koro magazine back in the day. And I wouldn't have caught this. I would have thought this is just another one of these. And this also sells for like, I think $30-40 as well. So all in all, these Pikachus, this lot, which I thought was going to be maybe a couple bucks, maybe 10 bucks, is probably $150 of Pikachus. So that's great. I don't think this stuff, minus these 3. I don't think these would sell well in person. They're too niche. They're way too specific. So I'm probably going to put them on my eBay and as buy it nows, and hopefully someone buys them. These 3, though, I'm going to put in the binder at like, I don't know, probably $5 each. And I'm pretty sure someone will buy them at the next show. Okay, where am I at? 8 minutes in. If you're new, I'm sorting and conditioning all these holos that I got from a collection. I don't expect any of them to be worth more than $5. Why am I doing this? I buy collections, and so I should have said at the start of the video, if you're still watching, I buy, sell, and trade. I've had multiple people reach out to me at this point with collections that they want to sell, things they want to trade. If you're looking to trade kind of your old stuff into like modern product, I also do that. I have Japanese and English, and so definitely reach out. My contact information is below and on Instagram if you have something you want to sell or trade. I'm generally pretty upfront with like what I would pay, and because my intention is to resell, I would pay, what I would probably do when I'm vending, 65 to 70% cash, and then 75 to 80% trade value. And the reason why I do that and sellers do that is because typically you are acquiring something to sell it. So if you're always trading 1-for-1, you're not going to be able to run a business. You're not going to be able to raise capital. You're not going to be able to increase value for your operation. And so that's typically why people do that. Okay, enough of that. Let's go through this stuff. I realized last time that I took forever to go through like a third of the stack. So this time I want to try to speed through this as much as I can while trying to talk as much as I can about whatever's going on in space. So the Classic Collection version of this, I'm really sad that it's not getting more love. Well, oh, what is that? Classic Collection overall. And you know what's interesting about Classic Collection, the Japanese one, rewinding time, I'm going to put this in this pile. So I've had these piles set up from last time. This is the dented / lowest quality pile, damaged, heavy played, moderately played, those sorts of things. When the Classic Collection came out, it was at a time where I was incredibly busy. Baby hadn't come yet, and you know I was still trying to prioritize, like, how do I get everything for the baby, how do I get everything for the house set up. And so I missed the traditional play for the Classic Collection, like right out the gate. I was too slow, just objectively I was too slow on getting it. I got it like a week after everyone else, and I just wasn't paying attention that much. What's weird is, well, this also comes from the Classic Collection, so I traded a 10 version of this for that Raichu. What's weird is, even though I was late, I decided to expedite. I forgot what tier it is. I did $30 submissions for a lot of the cards, and I did it as a pure gamble. Just one, because the race to the bottom stuff I don't really do, but at that time I wasn't hearing a lot about the Classic Collection. I did that, and I actually made out quite well. I sold one of the first sequential sets of the starters, so Blastoise, Ivysaur, Venusaur, Char, Blastoise, you get what I'm saying. The first starters and their last evolutions, I sold sequential sets of those. I sold the Charizard in 10. I auctioned that. I sold sequential sets of sorry, not sequential sets, just like the Pikachu, the Mewtwo, a bunch of other cards, and I actually I got close to doubling my money, which, if you think about just the grading cost alone, $30 a card, that was that was a great opportunity for me. I was surprised because we're in a time now, ever since last summer, where Japanese stuff is, the market is pumped. No one wants it anymore because it's so available. And at that time, like, anyone could have gotten Classic Collection. It was not bottlenecked. It was really easy to get. You could buy it at Mercari. You could buy it online and get it shipped, and the demand just wasn't there. So I was surprised that not a lot of people. Sorry, I wasn't surprised a lot of people weren't doing it. I was surprised that people were actually buying it. That's probably a better way of putting it. And I think that's just goes to show, like, that's kind of how these things go. You think you understand the market, you think you know what's going on, and you can be as plugged in as much as you want. But the thing I've learned is, like, you should always be ready to be surprised, and you should not hold your ideologies and your assumptions true, or don't hold them too strongly, because you never know what's going to happen in space that could kind of uproot all of that. Logan Paul stuff, or people market manipulating, or people doing buyouts, or the 151 Japanese booster box going to 200 a box. And then now, as of a few days ago, official reprint has been announced. So if you look on Sneaker Dunk, which is where I buy a lot of Japanese stuff, it's like a StockX but for Japanese sellers to the Western audience. If you look at like a Sneaker Dunk, you can find the boxes right now. I think I saw today one. You know what? I'm gonna look real quick. 92 before shipping. So that's nuts. And if you're someone who is paying attention to the space and you wrote off 151, it just goes to show, anything can happen. They can decide to reprint old sets. They can decide to underprint certain sets. And this is where I think just being, oh, look at that swirly boy. This is where having principles, being disciplined, not over, oh, dang it, come on. Not overstretching yourself with your purchases really matters, because you never know. You never know what's going to happen. And look at that. Like double, triple hollow, half hollow. So, you know, I say this and I'm talking about the market because one thing I've learned, if you really want to be successful in this hobby, whether you're building a collection and spending money to buy those cards or trying to make a business out of this, I would be at all times highly skeptical of everything that you read, see, hear, data points that you see. Sorry, I'm just so enthralled by some of these. I think the vintage Japanese stuff, I'm going to bet you that most of these hollows have some type of swirl in them. They just look so good. This has like, so good. Remain super skeptical. And I'm not saying be a pessimist, although being a pessimist isn't the worst thing. What I'm saying is everything that you have, at the end of the day, this is a hyper-competitive market. So if you're holding on to sealed, if you're holding on to slabs, whatever you're holding on to, your cards have paper value until you realize those gains, until you essentially convert them into money. And I think a lot of people decide to hold what they have, thinking that it's always going to go up. It's always going to go up. And it might go up. However, once you start breaking 300, 400, 500 for slabs and booster boxes, you can check. You can check. There's not that many purchases for historical sets, especially. You know, my experience with that was recently. Oh, look at that boy. Look at that swirly boy. I bought an Ancient Origins booster box for $300 or $400 in 2020. So this is at a time where I was just hyper spending money and just buying whatever I thought was cool. Ancient Origins, you know, Rayquaza, whatever you want to say it. I say Rayquaza, you can say Rayquaza. This is at a time where, you know, X and Y was on the up and up, and I wanted to get a set that was, you know, decently desired. I bought that. I put it into an acrylic, really thick plastic glass case. I put it on the shelf for like 4 or 5 years. Didn't even touch it. I come back and I decided, you know what? I need to downsize. And by the way, if you're not downsizing regularly and trimming your collection, I think for me it was probably one of the best decisions, because now I'm constantly asking myself, do I really want this? Let's use this card as an example. Do I really want this? Okay, that's one question. Oftentimes, like wanting to have something is not the same thing as really wanting it. And I think we get really caught up in like, I do this all the time too. I really want that card because I haven't had it before. But then when I sit on it for a couple months, I kind of just don't care about it anymore. Anyway, look at that double swirl. So I got this booster box. It's sitting on the shelf and I decided to liquidate it. That liquidation process was extremely painful. And the reason why is, at the time, I think the lowest listing was like $950. So not cheap, right? It's like a very premium product. Like you would have to really be wanting it to spend that money. I go out and I list this thing across Facebook, Discord, eBay TCG player, $800, $850. I was undercutting the lowest listing on TCG player and eBay by 10, if not 20%. And I was getting really desperate to sell it just because, like, you know, it's some amount of capital. I think this is when EV Heroes was out, somewhere along those lines. I needed the money. I wanted the money, and I wanted to spend it on stuff that I actually cared about. I sat on that thing. I tried to sell it for probably the better half of 45 days, 30 to 45 days. And I was doing every trick in the book. I was undercutting. I was doing the lowest listing. I was posting on Reddit and all these different places. And the thing that I learned, I eventually sold it, by the way, on TCG Player. I think the data point is like, this promo I like so much. It's a shame that it's underappreciated. I think it's undervalued, but, you know, I like, you know, I'm a 151 fan. Snorlax was always one of the obscure, you know, sumo style, fatso style Pokemon that, you know, I just loved growing up with. And I just love this art. It looks so cartoonish, unprofessional, off-brand. I don't know. One of my favorites. I am blanking. I don't know the exact name of this. I just know it's a promo. I think that's going to sell well. Anyway, so I tell that story because you're probably sitting on a bunch of expensive stuff. And even though I've shown off parts of my collection, I think this card's going to sell well. This is probably like a 8. The corners aren't good. Maybe an 8. Even though I show off some stuff in my collection from time to time, I'm fully aware that most of the stuff I get is like not very liquid. So I have to really want, you know, let me grab this real quick. These guys, for example, are not very liquid. In fact, this one just went for auction for $600 to Roy, a low TCG. The seller, for whatever reason, auctioned it. Worst idea ever. It went for under market, and now the value that I was looking for this, I was looking for like 12 to 1500. Now there's price memory of $600. That sucks. This guy is not very liquid. If I wanted to, I could probably sell it for what I paid for it. But, you know, at the end of the day, like, I want to keep this because I like it. In the future, yeah, I could probably sell it. It would be great if it didn't lose value. It would be great. It would be great if it went up in value. But there's a good chance that for a card in this price range, and even though it's really rare, it's too niche, whatever you want to say, niche, that this is money that's just going to be held up. It's held up. It's going to be on my shelf. I'm going to appreciate it, but realistically, like, that money is gone until I can figure out a way to liquidate this. And, you know, I say that because, like, I think a lot of people hold different sealed product and different slabs and different, you know, a lot of stuff in their collection, and they keep an eye on the market and they see, like, okay, so how much is this stuff worth today? This is like light. This goes in the second bucket. Like, oh, the market's pumping. Like, my Chilling Reign is doing so well. Guess what? It really doesn't mean anything unless you have an exit strategy or if you have a way to offload it. And there's way too many these days. You can see here, like, they were trying to swirl it, but not really. There's way too many people these days, investors, or, you know, that's another topic for another day, but they're holding a lot of stuff and they look at it going up in value, but they've never sold a day in their life. They've never actually figured out how to realize their gains, make their money back. And I think that's you know, I don't have the data to prove this, but from what I see, I think that happens a lot. I think you have a lot of people who like to talk about the bags that they have and how much things are worth. But when it comes to, you know, putting their nose in the grindstone and actually selling. I don't think most of them have ever done it. And so, you know, I can talk a little bit about how I feel about investing these days. Investing. I get generally concerned because there's a lot of people out there who do not have the money and they're spending it on little paper that can be manipulated, where the prices are controlled by people with heavy bags. You know, paper that is honestly only appeals to other people who collect paper. So the value of this stuff, like, I think it's great to have and hold and appreciate. Not appreciate in value, but appreciate because you like it. But investing your money into this stuff and hoping for a return in the future is, I don't know what to say. I don't want to pass judgment, but I think it's a really dangerous thing to do. Collectibles in general are not a great way to invest your money. And this is coming from someone who is 36. I've had 401ks, I have stock accounts, brokerage accounts. I've followed this stuff for a long time. I also understand the volatility in collectibles, and I can tell you that, like, if you're parking your money somewhere and you expect it to grow, but that money is extremely dependent on what other people are doing that is not sanctioned or regulated, that is some scary shit to be involved in. You know, I had that experience with crypto. I've had that experience with collectibles. It's just dangerous, man. And, you know, if you're out there spending that check, buying sealed product, I hope that you're in good shape and it's not the most of your money. The most of your discretion, it's only disposable income. Money that you can afford to lose and not paycheck to paycheck. And I think I said this in the other video. I was doing a trade with that guy, and as soon as he told me that, like, hey man, you know, I have bills to pay and my mom needs a roof, I had to get out. I had to get out of the conversation. I just could not be part of something like that. So yeah, if you're just be careful. That's all I gotta say. We do know that all sealed product. Oh, this is a really minty card, isn't it? Look at that. It's a shame though. You should never, ever, ever grade vintage Japanese unless you know it is a definite 10 or definite 9, if that's what you're going for. 9s don't go for much. I think most 9s, outside of the base set ones, go for less than $100. This is including E-Series, which is, you know, really fascinating. You can get most E-Series holos and PSA 9s for less than $100. But for whatever reason with PSA, and I've graded a bunch at this point, it's not bad. Oh, I guess the corner's bad. They are, I would say they have been more strict than what I've seen than with other genres with centering. There's some cards that make it through. Like I had a, what is it, Neo Discovery, Neo Revelation? I always forget which one of those. The Umbreon, the dark one. I sold that a couple weeks back to a whatnot friend. That centering that I had on that guy was not a 10, but it got a 10. So, you know, I'll take it. I feel like I've been putting way too many into this pile and not enough into, you know what, at the end of the day, these are all going to sell. So I probably don't need to overthink it. This stuff gets eaten on whatnot. People like vintage, as long as it's not overly damaged or broken. Oh my gosh, I said I was going to speed up and I'm like, I need to haul some ass. I'm so slow. I love Southern Islands in Japanese. Even though there's not really that much difference between Japanese and English, I just like how, I guess rare. It's way more rare and harder to find in Japanese. I think the Mew goes for like more than 1,000 in PSA 10. I mean, good luck finding it raw, but the centering on this stuff, finding it near mint is impossible. Not impossible. It's just way harder than English, which was, I think you can find that. You can find it anywhere. Okay, Dark Slowbro. So I'll go out on a limb and say it's not like I haven't invested money into cards. I've definitely bought my fair share of booster boxes and singles and slabs and heavy speculator and made questionable decisions, and I still make questionable decisions through today. I think, though, I've learned a lot. And the main thing I've learned, again, is like this whole space is extremely volatile. Super manipulated as well. And there's nothing you can do about it. It's just part of the game. So if you're willing to accept that, then, you know, I think you're in good shape. I think I saw recently with the new set, the Iron Leaves or whatever, the top card, I think it's the Cobalion. I forgot. I don't follow Modern too much. I opened up some Temporal Forces, but I got a bunch of junk, so I'm going to stay away. Look at that swirl. I think I saw that on TCG Player, it was getting bought out and pumped, and people are wondering if it's legitimate or not. Truthfully, it doesn't really matter if it's legit, because once that data point is established and there's enough of that data, the untrained eye is not going to care. They're going to use that as the Bible. They're going to use that as that is exactly how much it costs, and you cannot prove me otherwise. And you know, that's just how the game goes. This data exists. It's never going to get edited. It's never get audited. What you see is what you get. And so a lot of people are going to benefit, but also a lot of people are going to get burned because they're going to be overpaying for something that shouldn't actually be that expensive. But, you know, I digress. You know, I've handled a lot of vintage cards. This is the first time I've actually seen this card in person. And the holo sucks. The holo is not enough. I'm sorry, Delibird. Sorry, buddy. Okay, you want a status update? I'm 32 minutes in, and I think I got through half of this. It's gonna be a long night, boys and girls. This is damaged in the corner. So, going back to being skeptical, I have a really good example for this. Let's say you buy this card. Look at that beautiful swirl. Dude. We are spoiled with some of this vintage stuff. Let's say you buy this card. You buy it for 20 bucks. You buy it for 20 bucks and it goes up, right? Let's say it increases by 100%. So it goes from 20 bucks to 30 bucks. Wait, that's 50%. 20 bucks to 40 bucks, right? Now, throughout the way, if you're an optimist, you would say, that was a great purchase. It went up 50% or 100%. I'm going to do it again because it went up, right? And so as an optimist, you're always looking at what it could potentially be and then anchoring yourself around that outcome. You're not necessarily looking at the risk. You're just looking at what it could potentially be. And, you know, when you look at modern cards, I feel like that happens all the time. People think that they're going to get the next Moonbrand. People think that they buy sealed product, it's going to go to this amount. If they buy the top cards of certain sets, it's going to 3 or 4x. Like, there's way too much optimism around what cards could be potentially worth. And I think the danger of that is when you're optimistic and you end up being wrong, typically what happens is you do the same behavior again. So you don't really learn from your mistakes. You just say, oh, it's going to get better next time. And, you know, I have friends who are involved in this space. They collect, they buy a lot of modern. That's how they approach opening it. Like, oh, better luck next time. I'm going to keep buying. I'm going to keep opening. And they spend a lot of money on just ripping stuff. I really don't like how these are not sleeves, but you know, oh, this one looks nice. So if you're wrong as an optimist, you say, oh, better luck next time. You don't change the behavior. You don't try to change what you did and why. You just hope that the outcome that you were looking for is going to happen again later. Or maybe the outcome that you get, you expect next time. So let's say it goes up to $40 and you expect it to go $40. You expect the next one to go up to $40, whatever card it is again. That is incredibly dangerous. And I'll explain why once I get to the other side of the fence. Let's say you are highly skeptical. That's how you approach things, or even borderline pessimistic. In this same example, if you are wrong, you know what happens? You say, ha, I'm glad I didn't believe I was going to be right. I'm glad I was a little skeptical here. I just saved my ass, you know, however many dollars by not buying too many of this card, or by selling it early before it crashed, right? So by approaching these problems with that mentality, you are essentially innately kind of allowing yourself to reduce the downside risk. I think that's an easy way of explaining it. And if you're wrong, so let's say you're wrong about the card going down, it ends up going up, you're still covered. You were wrong, but the value gods of the cards, you know, rewarded you, and your card value goes up. In either case, though, if it goes up or goes down, being skeptical doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt you. You're going to be wrong, sure, but like, you're still going to make out in that case, and you're going to learn. If you're an optimist, sorry, I'm getting distracted. If you're an optimist, you don't look at it that way. You just think that the next opportunity you get is going to go up. And I think time and time again, there is no consistent way to determine which cards are worth investing in, or which cards are worth parking your money in. The best way I think, the most optimal way to approach investing or buying or flipping is to always optimize for the downside risk. And I will be the first one to tell you I'm a hypocrite, because I don't always do that. But I'm willing to understand and admit, this is like the 5th Dark Slowbro, isn't it? That is probably the best way. And the risk that I take buying super high-end Japanese cards and trying to flip them, you know, that's all done out of my love for the hobby. And if you sat me down and talked to me about it, I would say I understand the risk, and I'm willing to do that, because for me, that's the thrill, is to get something that's really niche and to hopefully sell it to someone who really wants it. Like, I like that. I also just like being involved with cards that people aren't talking about. It's just more enjoyable that way for me. Oh, second one of these, huh? So you've made it this far. Something's definitely wrong with you. But we'll keep going. I think I need to finish this stack before I go to bed, because the baby's down, my wife's asleep. I should be sleeping because I have to wake up at 3 or 4. But, you know, the sacrifices you make to be part of the hobby. Yeah, I wasn't around when the Neo sets were out in English or Japanese. I quit before then. Quit playing. But I gotta say, some of these holos are like very mediocre. This is like at first you're like, oh, this looks great. And then you kind of look at it and it just washes away. Maybe it's just that card. Maybe not. Pidgeot. I was always sad that Jungle, I think, was when I was playing, it felt like such an underwhelming set. The Flareons, Jolteons, Vaporeons were not good cards. They weren't really playable from what I remember, but I think the Flareon at the time was the most expensive card. I might have mentioned this in one of the earliest videos, but the fondest memory I have playing was running a, let's see, they called it a Haymaker Deck. So a Haymaker Deck was Hitmonchan, base Hitmonchan, Electabuzz, I think, and Scyther. There's four cards. There's a Haymaker Deck and there's a Haymaker Potpourri, which is like another version of it. And essentially it was just a Hitmonchan, Scyther, Electabuzz, and then you could rotate in Magmar. And the deck featured like really low cost attacks from Hitmonchan with plus power. Plus power gives you plus 10 damage on your attacks. And you essentially wanted to get matched up with another Hitmonchan or Electabuzz so you could take him out early. But you didn't want to get matched up with the Scyther because the Scyther had 0 retreat and also a -32 fighting. Anyway, that's probably way too much information. I played in that tournament. I think it was his post pre-release because I remember having Scyther in my deck. And I got first. I played with my brother. I think I was like 10 or 11 at the time, maybe 12. Played with my brother and I think my cousin at this local card shop, this local tournament. And somehow I got first place. And I think we got, and I don't remember, 7 packs? 8 packs? Damaged. And, you know, opened it up and I opened up 2 first edition Flareons, which I believe at the time was the most expensive card. I could be wrong. I remember opening it and immediately having this guy, you know, I think everyone who's been to a card shop when they were younger always had like this middle-aged father or like this adult man who somehow was always there hanging out with the kids and like buying everything up and showing his massive collection. We had a couple guys like that at our card shop. I remember him like telling me, I'll give you like, I don't remember the amount, but like $14 for this, for each of them. And I don't remember exactly what happened. I do remember that I got rid of those cards eventually, very quickly. Now this stack is getting interesting. So, yeah, that was playing the card game growing up. Look how many swirls they try to jam into there. 1. There's 2. Playing the card game was fun. I try to keep playing it as I got older, but I think, like many of us, I went through a period probably in the middle school, early high school, where, you know, liking Pokemon wasn't cool, and it was kind of a kid's thing. Even though I secretly liked Pokemon and I would play the games and kind of follow like the anime and stuff, I never talked to people about it because it just felt too, you know, just felt too embarrassed. So I've gotten a lot of different questions about this channel, where it came from, and maybe I'll tell the story in depth another time. But you know, a lot of what you see was hard work that I did 12, 13, 14 years ago. We used to run train on Call of Duty, play Call of Duty all the time, played every day. I remember working my 6 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. hospital job, come home, go to the gym, and then from 3:30 to or 4:30 onwards, it was Call of Duty until like midnight every day. I did that for two years probably. Met a lot of good friends, built up this channel, And it was, you know, admittedly, it was a lot easier back then to grow. It was way less complicated than it is today. You upload content, you get people to put you in their sub box, and through that discovery mechanism, like, you just print followers. You would get followers left and right. All right, I'm picking this up, dude. So that's where a lot of the subscribers come from. I totally realize how blessed I am to have this channel, though, because I see a lot of the other PokeTubers, and it's funny to me, because you would think that YouTube would have made it a lot easier for people to get discovered throughout the years, but in fact they've made it a lot harder, and they've really just favored the top, and then people who are on top of the algorithms. So the Pokemon community, what's interesting to me is, like, there's so many great content creators out there. And by the way, I'm not a great content creator. I'm just someone who's recording his stuff and sharing it. There's so much great community content out there, and it's just kind of sad that, like, these creators don't get the viewership they deserve. That's probably the best way of putting it. And truthfully, they probably will never get the viewership they deserve, because platforms like this, platforms like YouTube and TikTok, they are built to monetize through advertising, and advertising only works at scale and works well when you monetize and advertise on the biggest content, what people are watching the most. And TCG Pokemon content, I think we know who the big dogs are in the space. Oh, that's terribly off center. That does well, and it drowns out everyone else. Oh, sorry, that's not actually true. Those are the cornerstone reasons and pieces of content for the community based on the algorithm. It does not necessarily mean, though, it's what everyone wants to watch. It's more so, I haven't seen this card in forever. It's more so based on that content hits all the right notes for the search results on Google and YouTube. And if you make that kind of content, you have a good chance at standing out. Oh my god, I love this card. If you don't, then figure out how to grow yourself. Promote your own stuff, collaborate, but YouTube's not going to take care of you. Rant over. This video is going to be a long one. I'm already at almost an hour. Well, good thing we are towards the end of this deck. Jump Pluff. These are worth like not even $5. I had such a hard time selling them on eBay. The Neo stuff, though, people like Neo. People like Jim. Base vintage stuff, it sells okay, but there's not as much like inquiries about it, about the cards. And the cards are still cheap, which is just suggests like people don't really, the demand for them isn't really there. Maybe we'll change in the future, maybe not. But you know, as I keep uploading to this channel, and you maniacs out there who for some reason are still watching after this long, if you watched to this point in time, leave a comment below and let me know. If you've watched this point in time, I would love to know what you were thinking and what you're doing. But yeah, one of the things that I do want to do is just really figure out, how do I make content that like this that is helpful and informative. I'm by no means not a top seller, but I have learned a lot throughout the years, and I do have a pretty decent size business, side hustle / hobby that I'm proud of. And that goes there. Okay, what do we got left in here? Oh, we're close. Here comes Team Rocket. One thing I have not mentioned that I'm going to get situated this week, I'm totally going to lean into the body cam content, vending content that you see on YouTube. I gotta admit, I love that shit. It is so addicting, and I have no idea why. I just love seeing the trades. I love seeing what people ask. I love all the deals. Like, it just scratches that itch for me of like enjoying content that I haven't had in a long time. And I just genuinely like it. I feel like I'm learning. I feel like I'm, taking notes mentally. Like, oh, I should try to sell this. Like, when people ask that, I should do this. And I just find it like just super informative. It's not the easiest thing though to be recorded all the time or be in the public eye all the time. Just from my experience, it's no, you go there. It's tiresome. You also have to watch what you say because people will use it against you. I wish Meganium got more love. Secretly, I think I liked her the most in Gen 2. So here's what I'm debating. Either do a body cam, so that what Bulbasaur does with the Insta360. Oh, sorry, that's not what he does. What's the guy's name? Oh, I'm forgetting. Bulbasaur does use a Insta360, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't do body cam stuff. I'm forgetting the name. Anyway, I might do a POV like Bulbasaur if I can get it set up properly. So it's one camera angle, it's facing one direction. You have one side of the table, you have the other side of the table. It's just static. I think that's cool, but I'm kind of a big fan of like body cam footage. Like, oh, here's what I'm doing, here's my hands, like here's what this deal is. I also think it's different and unique compared to what you're seeing now. And part of me is like, if I'm going to invest more into making content, this is a secret rare, I believe. In a 10. Oh, what is that? If I want to invest in this channel, I want to make content that's a little bit different. No, this is a secret rare. No, wait, this is a secret rare. We'll figure it out later. And I think there's not a lot of body cam vending stuff out there. So yeah, in the show I'm doing in a week and a half, keep your fingers crossed, but I'm expecting to have a camera and everything set up and just like record 8 hours a day for 2 days and see what happens. But as we're nearing the end of this video, just want to let you know, whoever you are, fellow cardboard dorks, cardboard nerds, I super appreciate the support. Oh man, just love seeing cards that you wouldn't expect. Thanks for the support, it means a lot. If you ever need anything, comment section below, hit me up anytime. Instagram, whatever, I'm pretty responsive. So this is a vending series. I think that's the bottom of the list. Ooh, another Jungle Pikachu. Ooh, base set Pikachu. Misty's Tears. Oh, we got some cards here. Rainbow Energy. Misty. Oh, look at that fat, swirly boy. Old Man Blaine. Misty's Tears, I think, is like a $25 card raw. But let's see if these are... Oh, this is like sun damage? Why is it so different? Oh, one of these comes in... Dude, I don't remember. I think one of these comes from the set, and one of these comes from a deck, because this has no symbol on it. And the coloring looks super weird. I thought it was sun faded, but usually that means that comes from a set. Usually this means it comes from a deck that's related to the set. At least from what I remember. Base set Pikachu and Jungle Pikachu. So I think that's it. Wow, I made it to that stack. I have a fat video coming for my next opening. I should get that shipment tomorrow. It's been delayed with customs, but yeah, there's so much good stuff in that drop that's coming. Anyway, I think that's it for tonight. Thank you guys for the support. Super long video. Hopefully you watched it all. If you don't, it's fine. If you need anything, comment below. Hit me up on the IG. Again, if you have any collections or items you're trying to sell or trade, hit me up. I'm always buying and selling, or buying and trading. So yeah, thanks for the time, and peace out.